Landowners in the Blackfoot watershed were working with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service folks through the Blackfoot Challenge to restore wetlands, and they were also working on restoring trumpeter swans. And suddenly a pair of trumpeters showed up at Louis Boma's place at the top of the watershed. It was the first time trumpeters had tried to nest in the Blackfoot in well over 100 years.
They stayed for a couple of weeks, and we thought, my wife and I thought, that this was pretty neat because we had actually thought about what it would take for trumpeter swans to come into here. It was one of those cold, dreary, freezing, rainy days, you know, and I seen the swans take off out of this pond over here. They come up, they flew around me twice on the dozer and headed east. And I knew it was goodbye. I knew it was. Next morning, everything was froze over solid. The next year, they came back of Memorial Day weekend. We watched him handing her sticks to build her nest on an island over in another part of the lake over here.
And then in the middle of the night, in early June, the power went out at the post and pole yard. And when they went out to see what had happened, they found the female swan dead on the ground under the power line. She'd flown into it in the night.
When Louis called about the trumpeter swan hitting the power line and where to go with the eggs that his son had collected and put in a bucket, we were all scrambling to figure out, okay, so where can we find an incubator or a pair of swans to get them under? But it was also really a jump start for our overall program to really get it going.
And they transferred the eggs to a facility in Ronan that raises swans in captivity for release. And 3 of those eggs hatched. And then in the late summer, the decision was made to return those young birds to their father. The swan had stayed on the wetland.
Their first flights weren't pretty, just like nobody else's, you know what I mean? But they got better and better and better, and they flew. I think they were probably on pretty much every pond in this valley, but they always came back here.
The beautiful thing about trumpeter swans is that they tug at the heartstrings of people in the valley.
They're, you know, like ambassadors for wetlands. I mean, most people love them. They're big and they're beautiful, and
about 75% of fish and wildlife species depend upon wetlands and on private lands for their survival. And so when you look at getting people engaged in trumpeter swan conservation, it's really about getting them engaged in wetlands and the associated landscape.
When you start with a non-controversial species with the local landowners that were all in favor of it, we all pretty much joined together down there and cooperated and got along. And it's opening the doors now for potential cooperation with those same landowners for other species.
I think it's amazing what you accomplish if you're not concerned about getting credit for it. The beautiful thing about the Blackfoot is it's about all of us. It's not about one entity, one person, one agency. It's really about all of us, what we accomplished collectively here in the Blackfoot Valley.